Ding 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 da ding ding da ding 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 da ding ding da ding 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 da ding ding da ding ding ding.
Fubble Time.
Hi there. I am Teresa Tomey.
And I am Patrick Ziegler.
And we are
Fubble Entertainment.
And this is
Fubble Time.
That was a little slow.
It's the delay that we're getting.
It is. I'm sure that's what it is. Hey, we are so excited. We are celebrating Valentine's all month long. People in longstanding relationships, maybe even people not in longstanding relationships, but couples that are living creative lives. That's what we do here at Fubble Time. We celebrate the creative. Lord knows we need it in our lives these days.
Lord knows.
Lord knows. I want to tell you about who is joining us, and I am just.
And I wrote in the side who's joining us. The people that watch. So let us know who's here.
Jim Colucci is a Los Angeles-based entertainment writer whose work has appeared in TV Guide, Vulture, CBS Watch magazine, where he served as deputy editor. He has appeared on such shows as CBS's The Talk and CNN's History of the Sitcom, and for a decade delivered a weekly entertainment report on the Sirius XM radio show hosted by his husband, the man in his life for 25 years, Frank DeCaro. Graduate of the University of Pennsylvania, Jim co-authored the 2021 book, All in the Family, the show that changed television. Amen to that. With Norman Lear. His previous works include the official NBC-authorized companion book, Will and Grace, fabulously uncensored, as well as the Q Guide to the Golden Girls and the New York Times bestseller, Golden Girls Forever. Frank DeCaro is the author of Drag, Combing Through the Big Wigs of Show Business.
I love that title.
I know, so fun. Bestseller lauded as the definitive history of drag. His other books include Unmistakably Mackie, The Fashion and Fantasy of Bob Mackie. What a genius. 2 volumes of the Dead Celebrity Cookbook, the pioneering queer memoir, A Boy Named Phyllis, and the forthcoming pop culture history, Disco at 50. How exciting. He's a graduate of Northwestern University, and I'm reading all of it today. DeCaro has written frequently for the New York Times and Emmy Magazine. As a performer, he is best known for his 12 years as the host of the daily national radio program, The Frank DeCaro Show on Sirius XM, and his 6-year stint as a correspondent on The Daily Show with Jon Stewart, which is where I saw and fell in love with him. In addition, he spent 4 years playing large venues across North America as the opening act for comedian Lisa Lampanelli, a genius in her own right. DeCaro is active on social media. Check him out at Frank DeCaro Show. We'll post that later. He and his husband, author Jim Colucci, I've just talked about, live in Los Angeles, not too far away, with their Boston Terrier that we just got to meet, Gabby. Without further ado, welcome these 2 fabulous dudes, Jim Colucci and Frank DeCaro.
Hi, guys.
Hi. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome. How nice of you to be here.
We are. Oh, the block was really swimming for a moment there. I felt young and vibrant. So, hi.
Hi. We have somebody here who's actually been on the show before and knows somebody that you guys know, but his name's Kevin. He said that he used to listen to your radio show and on his way to work, and it got him through his drive, and he loved it so much.
We had fun. That was a dirty show for 12 years, I'll tell you.
How dirty can he be now? We should probably
I'm not as dirty as I used to. Well, no, I still am. Anyway.
But you lay down the law now.
Okay. Yeah, B. Arthur was the dirtiest. She was the best. She said terrible things on our show that we played over. We isolated them and played them over and over again, and it was fun.
Oh my gosh! Did you have?
Fun. We showed men a lot of people, so we were lucky. So,
did you have all of the Golden Girls on, or how many did you have of the show?
Estelle, no, of course, she was not well early on. We had B. Arthur in the studio when Maude came out on DVD, and so that was fun. And then she came on another time as well, and I think might have done a phoner, I think. And Rue McClanahan came on posthumously. Her caretaker brought her ashes. Her executor of her estate brought her ashes in and sat them down on the counter. So I didn't get a lot out of her, but it was nice to have her there. So we had 3 of the 4, 1 posthumous. So
amazing.
I would be so nervous.
I don't know. Dad is dead. It's you can't get a lot. You lower your
expectations. You gesticulate a lot. You don't want to go so rude.
I'd be afraid to knock her over. I know. Be like, oh, there's Rue McClanahan's ashes on my floor. But good for you.
So you'd have to snort her a little bit if she fell out. You'd have to give her take a hit of Rue.
That would probably be very good for you. I think it would release a lot of inhibitions and make you very warm and
I like that. I hit.
I know. Release your inner.
Yeah.
So you guys.
Well, her clothing line is called The Touch of.
Oh,
You're
we're lost
going in and out. I know. We're so glad you guys are here, and we always start we've already gotten into it, but we always start our first question, and want to hear from both of you on your different experience. But when, where, how did you get bitten by the creative bug? And whoever wants to go first.
Oh, I can start. I'm older, so I'll start. My high school yearbook says journalist, and my secret wish is to be a performer. So I'm kind of doing what I've always wanted to do.
Oh, nice.
Those people, when people are like, oh, I haven't found myself. I mean, I reinvent all the time, but it's still, I've been serving the same one flavor since 1962. I think, it's just, it's a delicious flavor, but it's only one flavor. And I just, I kind of go this way and that way, but I've kind of always wanted to be a writer performer, and I've gotten to do it in various ways. And every time you think you're out, you come up with some cockamamie idea, and then suddenly you're writing a disco book or a drag book,
nice.
Or you're a talking head on some show or whatever. You're always doing something fun, and so that was my. If I could tap dance, I'd give away every other talent I may or may not have to be an tap dancer. That's what I've always wished I could do, and I've never worn tap shoes or tried taking a lesson or anything. But someday. But did you do that
as a little kid? Did you think very little you would tap?
I know, but I would dance a lot, and they were encouraging of the dancing. But boys didn't get sent to dancing school.
He's a really great dancer with natural
talent.
That's one of the first things I noticed about him. What a good dancer he is.
But I can't count. I can count, but I can't dance and count. I can't do 1, 2, 3. I just have to move and freestyle. But for a big feller, I can move fairly gracefully. But
did you have a favorite tap dance celebrity that you liked growing up?
Oh, I liked any and all. When we would watch, he's been talked about a lot because of Betty White. Arthur Duncan used to be on Lawrence Welk show. My parents would watch that. He'd come out and they'd tap, and but anyone who would any musical where like if you go to a Tommy Tune musical, which I started going as a teenager, and they would break into tap and be like, "This is the best thing I've ever seen." And then now you see footage of like the Nicholas brothers and Gregory. I mean, I used to love Gregory Hines too. And Davian Glover, anyone who in a tap shoe is okay by me. I really Sutton Foster. They could, it could be anybody. Just put them in a cute pair of tap shoes and let them go, and I'm sold. So
then you have to do it. It's time.
Yeah.
Take a lesson. Some shoes.
I have to buy some shoes. I buy a lot of shoes. I just don't ever buy tap shoes. But I do have a closet full of shoes. None of them with taps on them. But oh well.
So how about you, Jim? When do you remember, and what was your inspiration?
It's similar. When I would take those career aptitude tests in high school, where the guidance department, what should you be? it would often come out journalist or columnist. And that wasn't what I pursued, but it's funny that I remember that because I thought that sounds like fun, but a hard thing to do. So I didn't try it at first. But I also was always a TV obsessed kid, was particularly with sitcoms. And so it's just funny because the first chance I got to become a journalist and write specifically about TV and even more specifically about sitcoms and then write books, that's what I did, writing about and for sitcoms. So it is all kind of deep seated, despite what I went to college for.
Were you a performer as well?
Yeah, he got taught doing what his parents wanted him to do. I was an only child, so my parents were much more bullyable. You know, I was like, I'm going to school and I'm going to study this, and I'm not going to be a lawyer, and I'm not going to be an engineer, and I don't know what an engineer is other than on a train. So don't say it again. And you know, there was a lot of you should do, and it was whatever could seem to them like a moneymaker. You know, and I was like, thank you, but no, I'm going to be I wanted to be Rex Reed in the beginning, and I sort of am. But I wanted to be a big fruity columnist, and ta-da! So,
well, that's one of our questions. Was there anybody that inspired you growing up in the biz? Was there somebody you looked up to?
Yeah, for me it was an easy one. Yeah, it was Rex Reed. I was a huge fan of because of how sarcastic and gay he was in print. Frank Rich because of how smart he was about theater.
Oh,
I
wow.
loved his writing, still do. And Irma Bombeck for humor writing. I really do like humor about the mundane. You know, I do. And I like self-deprecating humor. So she was a good example for that, if people remember. And she was hot back in the day. She was on Good Morning America, and she had a comedy album, and I liked anyone who was, but not in the staid, boring kind of way, but who sort of skirted the show. You know, we're kind of in showbiz, like put their toe in the showbiz waters a lot. You know, that was who I really liked. And every person I've mentioned, and Bruce Valanche too, of course, was a big inspiration. But Elton was my inspiration for how I wanted to live my life, other than the drugs. But to have closets full of shit and spend too much money and things. So I loved him, and for better or worse, hair. And no hair, although he has hair now. He bought his. But those are my influences. Who were yours?
And did you meet?
I have to say, it sounds so shallow. It all comes back.
Did I meet?
Oh shoot, I lost it.
Go ahead. No.
It all comes back to what, Jim?
We'll jump back. But we're having a little bit.
Were you going to ask him if he met John?
I was going to ask him if he met any of the people that.
I met every person I mentioned, actually. So, you know, right?
Yeah, you met Irma, right?
Irma, I got a note, and I talked to her on the phone.
You met Elton.
I met Elton more than once.
Oh my God.
Bruce
once at a party and dragged Elton over, made him take a picture with him.
And Bruce is my buddy. And Frank Rich, I met at things, and when he said, I've known your byline for years, I didn't care if that meant good or bad. You know, it was just he knew I had a byline. It was okay by me with Frank Rich. And Rex, I've met a couple of occasions. Rex did a Comedy Central special that I co-wrote, and he didn't think it was funny at all. But B. Arthur did, and you know whose opinion mattered more to me? B. Arthur thought it was hilarious. So
nice.
But
nice.
Yeah. So yeah. But you know, if you liked it, I probably would have left. Kind of like that Rex Reed thought we weren't funny.
You were in good company.
Yeah, it was good. He likes to diss, and good for him. So I thought it was fun.
I'm sorry, Robert Breckenridge.
Oh God, I would be in the remake of that in a heartbeat. What was your story?
You know, it is really shallow sounding, but there's something about sitcoms that are so comforting, and they bring up important issues, and yet everything can be okay within 22 minutes. And particularly on something like the Golden Girls, I just always wanted to live in a Golden Girls type world where you could live with your friends and look fabulous and your problems would be solved. But if you were Dorothy's Bornak, nobody would tangle with you because you had a wicked put down that would just put anybody in their place, and you could just cut them to pieces with your tongue. And I always aspired to that. I thought, I want to live in that kind of world where you have a rape by just telling people off. So I think it's a combination of like, and it's people I got to meet and work with, which is amazing. Norman Lear, whose shows changed the world by bringing up the shoes, really dramatizing them. And then people like the Golden Girls, who, again, brought up issues, but also this idealized life that would be, don't we live in that kind of Miami? I do.
Yeah.
But in LA.
But
not
in LA.
Florida.
Yeah, not in Florida.
Yes.
Florida's crazy. Let's do it in LA.
I just moved from being in Florida for 3 years. So that's a long story.
I'm sorry. Where were you?
Naples.
You can't say which town? Which town?
We're in Florida.
Naples. Is it not?
Oh, that's
a nice part.
It's nice. It's a little Republican, but it's nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I grew up partly in Florida. My parents had a place there.
Where?
It was in northern Florida, or the more north Florida, the south you are. It was Flagler Beach, just north of Daytona Beach, and it was a bit of a culture clash from New Jersey. It was when you go to the supermarket and they have pig's feet in jars. That's like, wow, okay, this is different.
Well, when we drove it over the border and there was a 70-foot Confederate flag flying, I was ready to turn around and go back home.
Yeah, that would do it.
Never a good look. What can you say?
So,
before you jump over,
go ahead.
We do have I'm in LA. You can hear the sirens. Here's an important question from somebody named Fred Stella, which is, how did being Italian contribute to your success?
When I brought him home and his last name had more vowels than we knew what to do with, my parents were relieved. I know that. I mean, they were very, I brought home people with English sounding last names and Polish sounding last names. But once I brought home a Colucci, the deal was sealed. And my father said, that boy is a godsend. Don't fuck it up. And I was like, okay, Pop. So that was, yeah. That was my World War II father said that. He was very relieved to have it in.
Oh my God, I love that.
That's
but no,
so
I think
great.
I think it's a way of life, really. I think that Italian to me is you scream out and then the next question is, what do you want for dinner? I mean, it's like, if it's loud, it does, which is the way our house is. If it's loud, there's no problem. If it's quiet, and because we're not speaking or someone's really mad, that's bad. But if it's loud, there's nothing to it. I mean, it's that loud is the prelude to where we have dinner. It's I think that, and also an appreciation of food and wine and culture and kind of eating the world in a way, figuratively speaking, literally and figuratively. But
you should see the lasagna that he's made.
Yeah, I have a lasagna that's got to get popped in the oven. I got the urge. I just looked. I had all the ingredients, and I thought, I'll do this. So I kept futz. It looks quite good. So I think it is sort of appreciating the pleasures of this world. Let's say that. So and being and crying a lot. That stupid shit, never at anything important.
And I have to say, Fred, first of all, I love the question and that you asked it, because I'm big into genealogy, and my grandmother's sister from Calabria married a Stella and moved to Argentina. Although I think that there are other Stella relatives still in Italy. So I have Stella relatives somewhere that I have not yet found. So Fred, help.
Uh-oh.
I have to say, I don't know how. That's a really funny question. I don't know how it affected my career path, other than to say there are a great many Italian American singers and actors and comics And my mother was not Italian, but she really fell in love with the music and the food and and my parents particularly loved the comics. If they were watching Pat Cooper or something like that, that would really speak to them. There's a rich tradition there that I think tells you that there is a place for you in entertainment. I do say that there's a little bit of a negative connotation that you hear a vowel at the end of your name and assume something about you. And it's not necessarily that you're funny. It could be that you're tough or that you're this or you're that. And when you're trying to work in comedy, sometimes it's almost something that you have to remind people of, that, the rich tradition of being funny. So I think it's interesting. It's an interesting question, but I just, I love all the stuff I grew up with that my parents loved.
And no one likes revenge more than Jim, which is the most Italian emotion ever, is revenge. Okay, and I think
it's also Irish, which was my mother. So it's a combination.
Oh wow.
We were at a press event, and this woman, it was for a doll line, a collectible doll, and woman really sounded like a Southern belle, came up to us and she said, "Colucci and DeCaro, are you two in the mafia?" And it really was like, translate that to any other ethnic stereotype, for any other group, and you'd be like, "Oh my God,"
Yeah.
For some reason, because we glorified the mafia in so many ways
and romanticized
it. We didn't take it as this huge insult. But
I was so tempted to say, yes, we're here to rub out a particular doll lady. Do you know where I can find her?
And then read what was on the badge. Yeah. But it was shocking to be asked, it's like when I used to do radio back in the 90s, they would have you on just because you were gay, and you'd be on the voice of the entire gay community. And the smart ass morning jock's first question would be like, "So you're gay? Are you a pitcher or catcher?" And it would always be like, "That's what I came to talk about." It's like, "Thanks,
Yeah.
that's all I am." And
meanwhile, it's been 25 years and I still want him to answer that question.
I don't know. But I make a really good lasagna. I'll tell you that. My lasagna. Which room?
I'm
do you
getting
want me-
hungry. That's not fair.
It's really it's going to be good.
So the man that asked that, Fred Stella, is Teresa's husband.
Happens
actually.
to be my husband,
And
who is
Detroit.
who is from Detroit. So he'll be excited to know you wrote for the Free Press.
I did.
And-
you know what I miss about Detroit? This is terrible to say. I miss most. Punchki Day, when you could go to Hammock and get the donuts, the Punchki donuts. It's like I think it's before Lent, right?
It is. It's it's Fat Tuesday.
Jelly donuts. Oh,
Fat Tuesday. You get punchki.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
And
So we have a couple of.
husband. I was just
We have
going
a
to say,
couple
my
of
very
questions.
Italian husband. Let me quick throw this out, and then we'll get.
Okay.
But it's interesting because my husband's family is very active in Detroit, and they were very involved in the National Italian American Foundation, which was his uncle was, and it was really trying to combat. Especially, it was really active in the 70s, 80s, early 90s to combat that mafia mentality and to really celebrate talented Italians. And so my husband grew up going to these events with all of these, like you guys talk about, with I'm sure Sinatra was part of it. And I was there when Al Pacino got lauded, and some of the politicians and stuff. It's an interesting, but my husband, I think, believes, who wouldn't want to be married to an Italian? Like no self-esteem.
I always say that every time I'm constantly, I'm posting and doing humble brags and posting his meals, pictures of his meals to social media. The hashtag is always marrying it, because I eat, especially COVID, if you got to lock down with somebody, lock down with an Italian who cooks.
Or if you need to gain weight. If there's anyone out there who needs to gain weight, I am your man. I will send you meal plans, and you can gain weight at home. You could come here and just have half of everything, whatever you want. But I can help people gain weight like that.
Nice.
So I'm adept at that. I had an Italian-American anti-defamation group call me mentally challenged because I defended The Sopranos. because Tony Soprano's house, the exterior is like 7 minutes from my house in New Jersey. Okay, so it really nails New Jersey. I mean, I know I'm not saying we're not all mafiosi, obviously, but the aesthetic kind of drew. Okay, that is kind of a New Jersey Italian thing, you know. Now I know there are people who aren't like that, and they live in, you know, they have nice taste and all, but, you know, a lot of our relatives not so much. And so I said that it really reminded me of growing up in New Jersey, and that I heard dirty words on there that only my grandmother would say. And they told me, basically, they wrote back, you shouldn't love someone who a grandmother who talks dirty is disgusting, and you're mentally challenged for defending this TV show, and it's stereotyping of Italian. I was like, okay, I'll stop loving my grandmother because she talked dirty. My grandmother, I would have no sense of humor without my grandmother. She was a dirty old broad. And every gay boy should have a dirty grandmother like I did. Because she was a hoot. She was horrible.
Okay, let's get this question in for Jim.
Did your grandmother say naughty things?
Jim,
Not really.
No,
Jim,
I'm sorry.
what is one bit of All in the Family trivia that we might not know?
It comes from Kevin, who's listening.
All in the Family trivia that you might not know. I think it's that the show was such a hot potato politically that Norman, you may not know that it had 3 different pilots, and the first two were actually for ABC, not CBS. And the character of Mike was named Richard. So there were some differences. The set looked a little different. There were minor changes. And Norman really had the faith of his convictions that this is a show that could really mean something and could change comedy, and really just put all his eggs in one basket, because he turned down a 3-picture deal at United Artists to make these when he was trying to get into movies as well, for this shot of getting this show that had all these epithets and hard to get on the air words on TV. And he took a bet on himself, and CBS happened to have a change in regime and went for it. So I think that you knew the long road that All in the Family took to get on the air, and what a long shot it was for it ever to get on the air, because everything before it was a very sanitized 60s comedy. And here in January of 71, one show comes along and it changes everything. So if you knew the long road, I think you'd really appreciate the show.
How incredible. I mean, that would be very rare to happen today, that there's 2 pilots on one network and then another network picked it up. I mean, that's just...
I mean, there have been cases where shows have gone to pilot more than once, like Big Bang Theory did, and a few, and it's usually the same network says, okay, we want this, but try to recast this and change this. But it really at times, because every time it finished, the network didn't really specifically know what to change about it. They just were afraid of it. And yet maybe saw that there was something there. So, okay, you can try it again. That is really rare.
I have a piece of trivia, okay, about All in the Family, even though I didn't write the book. After it was on the air, ABC's response to it, their All in the Family was supposedly going to be the Paul Lynde Show, which had, if you watch it on one of the rerun channels, the Paul Lynde Show is supposed to be their answer. So the daughter marries the liberal guy, and they have the smart alecky young girl, that was supposed to be the generation gap answer to All in the Family, the Paul Lynde Show. Yes, good.
Wasn't Pamela Verdon on that show?
Yes,
She's
Pamela
young daughter.
Pamela Verdon. You can't find her. I wanted to do an interview with her. I can't find her. She won't answer my texts.
Really? I did an interview with her years ago when I had a classic TV website. That's interesting.
We've got a couple more questions coming up.
Yeah, Frank, this one is for you. You want to read it, Teresa?
Which 2 or 3 dresses do you consider to be Bob Mackey's masterpieces?
Let's see. I think the illusion net dress that Cher wore to the Met Gala in the 70s, that was on the cover of, I think, Time magazine. I think that is the most innovative of them. He made women look naked, but not. You know, I mean, you always thought you were seeing more than you
Nude
actually
illusion.
were seeing. Nude illusion.
Right.
I think that one would be big. I think for comedy, it's definitely the Went with the Wind dress, because he was the guy who the script did not say leave the curtain rod in the shoulders. And Bob came up with that idea. So that's just a brilliant twist. And I think the Cher, as you can see, I'm dressed like a serious actress headdress number that is footage. I think those are probably the three. It's hard to narrow it down because of such a
those are good.
an amazing
That's a good
career.
three.
But I would say those are the three.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. Because you've got the comedy, you've got the absolute glamour of the nude illusion, and then you've got this get-up, as he said. He said that wasn't a fashion design; it was a get-up. That was his expression for the Cher, headdress number.
That spiky black headdress with
Yeah.
the kiss of the Spider-Man looking thing.
Yes.
And that was because they said you have to dress like a serious actress, and apparently you never tell why we pray to her. So her and Dolly. That's I don't know who the Holy Trinity is, but it's those two at least. There's got to be. Those are my two.
Rick Carl. Rick Carl has questions. Rick Carl says, "Hi all, sorry a little late. Jim, I'm not reading that. Teresa, can you read
Nice
it?
job on the CNN history of the sitcom. Any favorite sitcom of all time? And same question for Frank. For both of you guys, favorite sitcoms of all time."
Easy for me to say favorite sitcom of all time. It's harder for top 5 or a top 10 list, because there's one that stands out above all the rest for me, and then there's a good 10 or 15 that are great. But the one I always have to pick is The Golden Girls, because it really was the perfect combination of everything. That when you talk to TV producers about what makes a good show, they all and then a lot of good luck and accidents of fate. That while you're casting it, the perfect actors are available who perfectly fit the parts, who bring more to the parts than you wrote. The perfect set designers are there. You get the perfect time slot. You just hit the zeitgeist just right. The Golden Girls was all of that. Everything fell into place the way it needed to fall into place. Betty, and including Betty and Rue, switching roles and playing against the types that already played. They got B. Arthur after they had to convince her to do it. They got writers who really understood these women and wrote amazing jokes. They had the support of NBC. They came on NBC at the right time in the right place. It looked great. The costumes, the sets, everything worked perfectly. Any one of the elements gone wrong, it would be a good show, not a great one. But it's just everything needed to happen.
So we did an event recently where I accompanied Jim to an event that he was doing, and the guy who ran it put together a clip reel of the Golden Girls, and I was laughing so hard you'd think I'd never heard. And it's one of those shows where all you have to do is listen to it. You don't even have to watch it. You can just hear it for laughing out loud. Extra.
Yeah.
However,
it's
when
the
people
first show
send me Golden Girls things, go ahead.
It's the first show I saw being recorded. I was in college and came out for the summer, and it's the very first show I ever saw being recorded, and it was the episode with Don Amici. And it's amazing to have experienced that, and now it's in the world of classic sitcoms, which is, I'm so grateful that I got to do that. And then for you,
me too, and I did the same thing right after college.
Wait, but I have to say something. There is no one under 80 who has mentioned Don Amici today other than you and I. Okay, I talked.
No, you said under 80.
Under 80. Thank you. Just barely. But no, I was mentioning. I was talking to my drag friend Dina Martina today. No, I was talking to Dina Martina, and we were talking about a Zsa Zsa Gabor movie that I made Jim suffer through called What Picture Mommy Dead, and the other night, and Don Amici is in it, and Don Amici is also who was Cher's companion at the podium when she wore the headdress number. So,
proving it all comes back to Cher.
It all comes back to Don Amici.
No,
I think is proving
Let's say Cher.
Cher and Don Amici.
And another, that's an Italian name, right? I mean, is that
Don Amici?
Not the way it's spelled, but he was Italian. He just changed the spelling phonetically to suit American taste. But yeah.
Yeah. But The Munsters is my favorite sitcom. The original 2 seasons of The Munsters is my absolute favorite. Anytime comedy and horror together. My favorite movie is Young Frankenstein. There's something about funny that takes the scary away. And I think that says a lot about my personality, you know? I'm obsessed with What We Do in the Shadows right now. I mean, I think it's hilariously funny. But it's that there's something about horror and humor near each other that pleases me. So,
are you watching that new show Ghost?
I was watching about. I'm sorry.
Are you watching that?
We love Ghost.
Oh, Ghost is brilliant.
We're obsessed with
Ghost. That's the other show I'm
we're obsessed with it.
I haven't seen it yet.
But that's not so horrifying. You know, I mean, oh, it's good.
We advise, we've been evangelizing Ghosts for a while now. And the way we advise it is start with the British series.
HBO Max.
On HBO Max. It's really great. And there's only, how many episodes
per season? There's 20, including the Christmas special.
Like 6 episodes a season and then 2 Christmas specials. So 20 episodes. And then move on to the American one. The American one, at first, I didn't like it as much as the British, but it's because American shows do take a little longer to really wind up and find their footing. And in the middle of this first season, the American one got really great.
Yeah, they did an episode that was particularly American because it was about a crazed fan of one of the ghosts. She was alive. So he's like obsessed with one of the ghosts and her music career. And without giving anything away, you know, it's the, you know, let's say he found something of hers that's a little disconcerting.
But it has really, it's become such a really strong show.
Yeah,
it's really,
but it felt really American. Like it didn't feel like it was the original show. After about 5 episodes, it was like, okay, now you're New York mansion. It stopped being an imitation of the original. Like The Office was the same,
right?
You know,
took a certain number of episodes before they let go of the British script, started really scripting American stuff and making it more specific to Scranton. So similar path.
And also, yeah, the whole, you know, man-child thing is such an American, you know, I think man-child is a very American stereotype and crazed fan is a particularly American kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know.
So Rick Carl wants to share with us that the Cher outfit the Cher outfit is on display at the Academy Museum, which you probably know. Did you know that?
I haven't been yet. No. Oh, I'm so excited.
We had several visitors who were going to be coming into town, and each time they got reservations for the Academy Museum. And then each time they canceled, it was different people. They canceled because of COVID. So we kept being, we're going to the museum or not. No.
We're just going to have to take each other and go.
So now we're just.
I want to see the shark in the stairwell. That's all I really care about. I just want to see Bruce hanging there, you know, Bruce the shark. So. Yeah.
I want to know before we lose, because this time is just
oh my gosh
sailing by. It's crazy. I want to know what it's like for you both to be writers. Do you have your own spaces? Do you just go into your own corner? Do you feed off of each other? Do you say, is this great? Is this working? Or do you just?
Both. It's really funny because we both write about similar topics that took place in similar eras. And so we are both sitting in separate rooms of the house with our computers and yelling back and forth between desks. But it's often really funny because I'll be like, Frank, I just got given Robert Hayes's contact. I'm going to talk Love Boat, and then you can talk the disco scene in Airplane. Oh, and Frank will be like, oh, you know who I just talked with? Donna Pescow, and I'll pass her over to you so you can talk Love Boat. So there's so much overlap between what we've been doing.
Today he was on with a woman, a musical comedy actress who I adore, and I was like, you tell her I loved her since the Jim Neighbors hour when I was 5, so I screamed to him, and he did. He told her.
He may have barged into that.
I did.
To tell her that.
To tell her that I loved her since Jim Neighbors when I was a kid.
No, you got to share who is it.
So, but
who is that?
Oh, it was Karen Morrow was her name. She's a musical. Karen Morrow was her name, and she. You know what I like? You'll come home from walking the dog and you'll hear, and it'll be like, he's talking to Elka Summer. It's like you'll hear through the door. There'll be some, not the name celebrity. Elka Summer was the.
No, the funniest one was he didn't know I had started interviews yet for the Love Boat book.
Oh yeah.
And I have now been doing interviews for that book for 6 years. So this was very very beginning, and I was on the phone with Marion Ross, who at the time. Now she's in her 90s. At the time,
she's a good friend of.
She's a wonderful. She
was
the second interview I did for the Love Boat book. It was Gavin and then her, and now I've done hundreds. But I was, that's my. I really wanted to talk to her. And Frank walked into the apartment just as Marion was on speakerphone saying, "I'm 87 and a half years old," and Frank is looking around like, "Why is Mrs. Cunningham swearing in my apartment?"
Cunningham dropped the F-bomb. He said F.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was shocking to hear that.
She's a saucy one. That Marion is a saucy one. She's a fabulous one.
Oh, we took her to the smoke.
I was telling someone the other day, I said, you always want celebrities to not disappoint. And I'd always heard that Suzanne Plachette swore like a sailor. And the one time I saw her in a social situation where I could talk to her, I was out to, here's a name drop that's only old gays will understand. I was out to dinner with Doris Roberts from Everybody Loves Raymond, the old lady on there. And she was friends with her. And Suzanne Plachette was having dinner across the room with Tom Poston, her husband, and to be, I guess, at the time, or newlywed husband. And even though they were both old, she came over to the table and every other word was F. And it was hilarious. It was just, one F-bomb after another. And I was like,
in that voice.
Suzanne Plachette does not disappoint. I'll tell you. It was at least 5 F in about 6 sentences. So it was quite something. And name dropping too. That effing so-and-so who wants his effing trees planted out at the old actor's home, that effing place. And it was hilarious. And I was like, Suzanne, Carol Hartley, F mom, it was what do I do? So
well, she did play Leona Helmsley, so
yes.
Don't we all play Leona Helmsley once in a while? I tell you, we do. A little
so
bit
we could go on and on about
Emily, Carol
Carol Kester, Frankie,
Carol Kester, Bondurant. Well, we love Marsha Wallace too, but I goofed. Yes, Emily.
Oh,
Emily.
Yes, Emily. That's right. Oh my gosh.
I would like to say that you talked about seeing Italians in entertainment as giving you hope that you could maybe be involved in the industry someday. Seeing Marsha Wallace gave me hope that I could be involved in the industry someday.
Redhead power.
Redhead, no chin.
Marsha,
love her.
Marsha was such a fabulous person.
Yeah.
We got to know her when we were living in New York still. And when we moved to LA, one of the things we kept saying was we're going to see more of her because we would only see her on trips out here. And she died a month after we moved here. But I'm glad we got to see her at the end. And she was so funny and just so fast and like earthy, but in a really, I don't know how to say it, like just a really funny way, like a really twisted but also down to earth look at things.
Can I say her best line ever?
Yeah, sure.
Her line that she'd say, well, that's about as funny as a dead baby's doll. Okay. That is the best expression of all. Okay.
Oh my God. Well, on that note, we're going to wrap it up.
And it's like people. Yes, that's how it'll be good. No, because people always say, "Oh, I'm friends with so and so." We're not friends with a lot of celebrities. We're friendly with people. We met, we can say hello at a party.
It's not like we go to dinner all the time.
But Marsha was our friend,
Yeah.
and so
Nice.
she would tell us stuff, and we loved her. She was amazing. But
we came very
and
close
there's
to
that
working
expression
with her on a project, and I wish it would have worked out. But we could go on and on and on about classic TV because that's our world. But this is wonderful, you guys. We are so grateful that you did it. Oh, let me put up your man. We just talked. Let's put up your Instagram. There they are, Frank DeCaro Show and Jim Colucci. Right? Did I do it right?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. That's those.
Great.
That's us. I have to commend you both. This is the first podcast. This is the first podcast I've done in a long time that didn't become a hostage situation. Usually they'll say, we're only going to have you on for a half an hour. And then 90 minutes later, it's still going. And you've got to pee really bad, and they're not letting you go, So this was a
we could with you guys.
Minutes out.
Maybe we'll have to do a classic TV conversation with you guys because this, you're talking our language when it comes down to these celebrities. So,
and I will say we've got a half a dozen questions too that we didn't get to.
I know.
But life.
Well, that was Frank's way of he wants to come back. So
please, I want to do them like a light round now.
Yeah,
I just want to answer questions like really fast.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, you guys. So the book is out and the book is coming out and you have books already out and we're all out. So let's check out their books, get their books. We're so grateful. This was fun. I mean, it really is in alignment with our vision with what we do. So grateful you guys were here.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us. This is really fun.
Really a pleasure. We love to do together, particularly.
Yeah.
It's very fun.
Nice.
I like them.
Nice.
Good.
Well, thanks, guys. All right, we'll put you in the green room. Don't run away.
Oh, they were kissing.
Oh, shoot.
Cut it off. Got to see good man love good love. Good love. Thank you, Terry Zinn, for a great show. Yeah, these guys are great, right? Just wonderful humans. And I keep saying guys, I don't know I gotta get people's pronouns before I start.
These gentlemen.
But that might not be their pronouns.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Gotta think about that. Anywho.
These wonderful humans. How about that?
Wonderful humans, yes. Wonderful beings. Celebrating love. And boy, isn't that love present. It was so present. It was so nice and just nice.
The love boat.
The love boat. You get the energy between them. Oh my God, would they be great on the love boat?
Oh my gosh.
I think we need to have an episode of Jim and Frank on a love boat episode. You could do, come on. It's a Super Bowl commercial, for heaven's sake.
Joanne Worley is Jim's mom, and Frank's dad would be who's still around. Frank.
No, still alive.
No, he's not around, and it can't be Ed anymore
because that's not around. They're all going away. We'll figure it out.
Max Gale.
There you go. See, I think he's gone.
Or Hal Linden.
He's gone. They're all gone, aren't they? All
gone?
Okay.
No, Hal Linden's still around.
So next week, join us. We've got Deneen Muley and Jeremy Koch. And I was going to say Coke, but it's not Coke, it's Koch. And we're excited.
From Farmers Alley in Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Farmers Alley, they have been keeping that theater alive and for a long time and have done some amazing theater work. They are a dynamic couple. They have incredible children that are off doing theater and musical theater. Living the dream and living the theatrical dream and inspiring us. So we're excited.
Deneen and I did Baby and a chorus line together. Wow.
Well, we can't we got to go. As we always say.
Right.
Sorry, I was just like, Frank was so excited we didn't keep him long, and then we keep yammering. Okay.
I know.
With that, what do we always say? Gotta go.
Gotta go.